Good morning. Live from Houston, Texas. Here to answer any of your questions. Here to solve your immigration problems. Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. Hope you all are doing very good. Hi, friends. As always, this is our weekly show. This is really for anyone, if you feel like you're stuck in a situation. I know in general, there's 11 million people feel like they're stuck, but some of y'all I know are actually eligible for something because there's been many people that have been calling our office, which we greatly appreciate it. And, they have one or two questions, and it turns out that they are actually eligible for something. So um, don't be surprised. Let's see here. So, but I know the $1 million question most of y'all have is what's going on with Congress? We just had a consultation today about someone asking, actually a lot this week, asking about if essential workers are included. Unfortunately, still Congress is slow. They have not really talked about essential workers, unfortunately. So that's just issues with that. Oh, let us know where you're watching from, by the way. Hi, Luna. Nice to see you. Appreciate y'all watching. So here's the deal with reform. So I'll just go ahead and talk about this. In the meantime, I've discussed this before. My opinion is Democrats need to push Republicans because it's all this talk about Joe Manchin. What the heck does Joe Manchin want to do? Why does it depend on him? Obviously, it would be great to have 50 votes, but look, Joe Manchin at this point and his buddy out in Arizona is not going to agree because if they were going to agree, they would have done that by now. I would think, at least with respect to immigration. Now, this this new proposal, of course, is not just about immigration. There's a lot more to it. The social spending bill, and anytime there's a social spending bill, there's going to be a lot of pushback. But typically that's with Republicans. So it's just very frustrating. I'm sure it is to you that Joe Manchin, because I could show you an article. I'm sure you could just find it yourself. But there's one just a couple days ago on thehill.com or thehill.com that Joe Manchin knows the legalization program must be removed from the reconciliation bill. Let me see if I can share my screen here. And by the way, friends, if you're just watching us for the first time, thanks for joining us. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, or you can do it later if you don't mind hitting the like button. And if you're on Instagram, smashing the hearts. Appreciate it. So I want to show you this. Oh, all these little pop ups. Okay, well, why is he saying this? Why does Joe Manchin want to mess it up for immigration? Maybe it has to do with him being a senator out of West Virginia. And he wants to protect those workers there. That's the strangest ad ever. Okay, so he says that at least one Democrat senator has serious reservations, and he's not the only one apparently. Well, even if there are more people, okay. Well, hey, this is good news. Manchin also said he's not going to vote to overrule the Senate parliamentarian if she recommends. Oh, if she recommends removing the parole provision from the bill. Well, of course he's not going to overrule that because that's in his favor. Well, that's silly. Manchin says previous immigration amnesty proposals have included significant border security provisions to gain support from moderate Democrats and some Republicans who would be open to that kind of deal. He's a nutcase, okay? Of course. This is why Democrats in general need to push the needle. And I don't like to shift blame, okay? But at this point, all the I don't want to call it hate, but all the animosity is on Manchin and Krista Sinema out of Arizona. Why is that? How come there's no talk about Republicans? Okay, what if Manchin says no and Sinema says no? Sure, okay. And then, so just why not have uh, a couple Republicans on board? I know there are a couple because I've seen a couple Republicans proposed bills, a joint bipartisan fashion. I've talked about it in previous episodes. You might not believe me. I've received some comments back saying that that's not true, but okay, it is what it is. It's on congress.gov. You can take a look yourself. Um, yeah, there could be a lot more to it. I see Luna, you mentioned something here. It's not just about immigration, it could be about oil companies. There's a lot more to it, unfortunately, that the news doesn't really cover. It's just a bit more complicated. The news, they have no idea what's going on, right? The traditional public media. It's just hard to explain sometimes. Um, but yeah, Biden not agreeing with the at least with the Russian oil companies, I would say completely understandable given what's happened under the Trump administration. Um, anyway, so but yeah, still no ruling from the Senate parliamentarian at the end of the day. That's what we're waiting for. Now that it's already had a break from Thanksgiving, it's time for her to come out from the shadows and say something about it so we can just all move on, if anything. Right. And even if that, right. So even if the Senate parliamentarian says, sure, we can add parole, like I said before, in my opinion, parole is BS. It's great for some people because I know a lot of y'all have businesses and you have to travel, you have export import type of business, and it's hard to rely on someone else. But and you have been the past few years, I'm sure, because you have to. But for those that have been waiting for so long, so many years, you deserve more than parole. But hey, at least parole, you can have the ability to travel. That's what they say in the proposal. And by the way, friends, disclaimer: if you not sure about this, because I've been getting a lot of calls if someone qualifies or not for this parole program, nothing has passed. Nothing. It's only a proposal. I know many of y'all commenting, you know that, but there's some people I get calls about it and just really hoping for something. And I don't want to mislead anyone. I can't say that's passed. There's just not, that's not, has not happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't be ranting right now. uh, so yeah, that's it about that. I mean, so my point in sharing all this every week is that please write a letter, call your senator, your House of Representatives. Okay, at this point, it's really on the Senate side. So get them involved, get them to really understand why the need for immigration. Sure, at the end of the day, they might be focused on their Republican agenda, but don't rely on that, please, because the best way to push forward is calling them, notifying them, because they do tally up numbers. Okay, their staff does that. That's what I've heard from all different issues that tally it up. Okay, they don't ask for your immigration status when you call them or notify them or email them. I mean, but they do ask, "Are you in this? Are you? Do you live in the state or do you live in this our district?" Because they want to make sure you're what we call a constituent, a voter, right? Of course, you don't have to say that you're not a voter because you're not eligible, but it's very important. So you can contact us right up here, okay, or fill out the form down below and just even if it's hey John or hey green card guys, hey Ting Law, I need a sample letter, and we're happy to provide it to you. Okay. Now here, gonna answer some questions here. By the way, if you're just now tuning in, let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. I always think it's interesting. We got Luna from DC, Colorado Springs, Sheldon, Garfield in St. Louis. By the way, Garfield, let us know. I just saw in the my feed about the Ozarks. Have you been there? Is that a nice spot to hang out at with family? It seems like it. All I know is about the Ozarks in the what was that show? The Ozarks on Netflix. I think that's what it's called. Which, by the way, the trailer just released apparently. Nikita, been so busy, haven't had a chance to even. Yeah, see, St. Louis. Okay, Coco, what's up? And you got a question here. Okay, there I found it. What happens the first time entering US on green card? So typically, you don't actually receive the green card after your visa interview. That will be delivered to you at the address you provided that's in the United States. And you have to, what I recommend is you pay that fee. I believe it's $220. They call it the immigrant fee. I mean, that's essentially everything you pay is for the immigrant visa, right? So, but they added this about, I think, 5 years ago at least. And the fee is really to create the green card, the resident card. So you need to provide an address in the United States that um, that is a reliable address, because some people, oops, getting a phone call. Okay, sorry about that, friends. I gotta ask them to wait. All right, so, but I don't know if that is actually what you're asking for, Coco. But that's usually the first thing that pops in my mind. Do they ask past history of immigration, and should you bring along very old passports? So I think you mean at the visa interview then, um, because. But your first question sounded like you already had the interview. But if you're now talking about the visa interview, certainly it's they they can ask about immigration history. So if you think you have a sketchy situation, you might want to consult with us. Give us a call. We do. Oh, by the way, if you're tuning in for the first time and you don't know this, we do offer free 15 minutes preliminary discussion. Just try to point you in the right direction, because I know most lawyers charge consultation fee. And some of your questions, although it does require a lawyer, I'm gonna give you a break. Okay, so here, there's a secret code we're gonna offer you towards the end of the show. I usually try to go for 30 minutes, but might be a little shorter today. But at the end, towards the end, I will share a secret code that you can offer to. You can text it to this number up above, or when you self schedule on your own at the website down below, greencardguys.com, please answer the form. We greatly appreciate it. It will save so much time for our team. Um, but yeah, we'll share the code at the end. Okay, that's at least one thing I want to do for you. And please subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Click all the notification bell for all the future videos. Okay, Coco, you said you finished the interview, visa approved. Yeah, congrats. That's awesome. Where are you flying from, or where was your interview? Going to air travel first time to America. Wow, wonderful. Want to know what happens at the airport. So, okay, you need to bring your packet. Okay, your visa packet. All right, and you're going to present that to the customs officer, CBP. Okay, so they review it essentially, and and that's it. You don't have to bring your old passports, like old passports, but I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. But I've never heard of customs officer looking at your old expired passport. It's only your valid one. Okay, but again, if you had some kind of um, and because you have your visa, they really shouldn't ask about previous immigration history. So it sounds like you may have, well, yeah, you're traveling to America for the first time. So it doesn't sound like you have any past history of immigration to the United States. In that case, maybe you mean that you've applied for something before, but customs officers won't ask about prior applications, because you were able to, you got the visa. You got it. Awesome. Congrats, Coco. Very happy for you. Very happy for any of y'all that get a visa, because we know that this is a difficult thing these days, especially with the pandemic. Some people cannot have an interview because of delays. We actually file lawsuits against the federal government because of delays. And it really depends on the type of case. But we've been really receiving a lot of wonderful results, by the way, about that. So, by the way, Coco, hopefully that helps. You're welcome. Appreciate the love. Smash the heart buttons, the likes. Um, but yeah, we do sue the government. We do, knock on wood, fortunately get positive results. And, for example, someone was waiting for their green card decision on the green card and 485 application adjustment of status for 5 years. After we got filed the lawsuit, responded to the RFE, request for evidence, which he responded to previously a couple years before. And guess what? After 5 months, green card in hand, my friends. So that's one example. Another example is when um, uh, someone's waiting for asylum interview. I know many attorneys don't like doing this for asylum, but if someone's been waiting for 5 years or more, that's usually the key. 5 years. I know it's ridiculous. Someone comes here applying, have applied for asylum within the 1 year. Which, by the way, there's a 1 year rule if anyone's considered to come to America for asylum. There's a 1 year rule. So if you entered, let's say January 1st, 2021, and or right around that time, you have January 1st, 2022. You need to file before that, okay? So hopefully that helps. But anyway, back to the success story on mandamus lawsuit against the federal government. We received interview dates. So our goal is to, in this kind of case for asylum, is help you get the interview date or decision if you already had the interview many years ago. And we've had calls about that. It's kind of strange. You would think the government, you have the interview, they give you a decision in 30 days. Why should it take so long? But here's why it's important, friends. Nikita, I just see your comment. I'll get to your question, but I just want to share this last success story. We've had clients wait 5 years plus for the interview and for the decision. The reason it's important is because, for example, China, one child policy, they don't have that anymore. It went away. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can have more than one child now. So for people who entered America, applied for asylum based on that policy, they can't win asylum anymore because China doesn't have that policy anymore. So the U.S. government is going to say, look, you can go back now. Sure, they could have some issues in China, but the U.S. government's going to rely on the current policy. That's why, my friends, we've even had people call us before the 5 year mark, even 3 years, 1 year. We say, look, it's still too early to file a lawsuit. Generally, across the country, is at least 5 years. But even saying that, I know there's some concerns people have about it. We're happy to discuss it with you individually. So wait for the secret code. All right, Nikita, on to you. Where is your previous question? Okay, great question. Tough question. Tough. Because the response is tough. Okay. You're supposed to be outside the United States. A lot of people that call us about permanent bar are still currently in the US. Go figure, of course. But you have to apply for something consent to for readmission into the United States, I-212 form, but that has to be done outside the United States. Okay. And you actually have to wait the 10 years and then apply for that. Because there are other situations where if it's not a permanent bar, but you have a 10-year bar, you can apply for a waiver before the 10 years. Okay, but for I-212, you have to apply after the 10 years outside America. Now, if there's something else that you know about, because I get this all the time, people say, John, well, I heard from so-and-so that they're able to do this. So I always ask back, or our legal team always asks back, okay, well, is their situation exactly the same as yours? Is that really true? Because if so, okay, we'll take a closer look. But usually it's not exactly the same. Everyone's case is slightly different, if not completely different. So that's probably not the answer you want to hear, Nikita. But I mean, in general, yes. Someone with a permanent bar, first we want to verify if it's a permanent bar situation. And if yes, then what steps can you do after that? Okay. Because, for example, even if the government says your client has misrepresented to the government, okay, well, let me ask my client and let me verify the situation. And sometimes it's not actually misrepresentation; it's a mistake where they didn't know themselves. Okay, they just relied on information that their parents gave them. So, anyways, going back to some of the other questions, Garfield, is it possible that I-130 form can get approved before the 765 and 485 all file together? Excuse me. I've never seen that happen, and that's because there's no reason for that I-130 to be approved before all those other forms. The 765 and the 131 Advanced Pro can be approved many months before the actual interview, so before the I-130 and 485. Typically, the I-130 and I-485 will be approved or have at least a decision after you have your interview, the green card interview with your spouse or whichever relationship. But typically, in our experience, now that's a later phase of the pandemic, I guess. Who really knows? But we've been getting the 765 and 131s approved at least 5 to 7 months on average after filing the case. Now, friends, some people unfortunately don't know the process, and I get it. That's why it's better to hire a lawyer, at least consult with one. We've had some people file the 130 and 45, but without the work permit. So this entire time, the beneficiary, immigrant beneficiary, doesn't have the work permit or ability to travel. So I'm glad Garfield sounds like you filed it all together. Wonderful. Hopefully it helps, Garfield. Let me know in the comments. Okay, Coco, do they take fingerprints or photos? Does it take long leaving the airport? Typically, no. I mean, the general process of waiting in line, yeah, that takes a long time. It can. But after Coco, after you become a US citizen, you can apply for, what do you call that? Global entry. Yeah, I believe you have to be a US citizen for that. Global entry, so you can have that and bypass the long line. But in terms of your first visit, uh, yeah, in general, they do take photos of everyone. So hopefully that helps. But even so, that's a quick process. I don't want to be too concerned about that. Okay, Manuel, how long does it take to get work permit after biometrics? So usually biometrics is at least 1 to 2 months after the receipt notice, and then work permit. So give or take, I would say 4 to 6 months on average after that. You're welcome, Garfield. Glad that helped. Sheldon, oh, I guess you're asking about Coco. Okay. Nikita, back to you, my friend. If reform takes place, will it help people with permanent bar? You know what? I believe it's been several months now, almost a full year, but I believe the Citizenship Act of 2021 was supposed to cover that for permanent, at least for the 10-year bar. I can't not completely remember if it covered the permanent bar, but that's not, unfortunately, that proposal is not, it's not on deck right now. Unfortunately, it's not being considered at this moment. And you know why? Because there's no pushback to Republicans. Okay. I'm actually surprised given what's been going on in the media the past several years. I'm really surprised. And you know what? I think it is part of it is because Democrats are probably trying to pick their battles. All right. I don't know. Hey, if some of y'all are conservative out there, I hope you are reasonable folks out there. I mean, again, I've been getting some hateful comments by these really, really conservative people that hate immigrants. I just don't understand why. It's kind of ridiculous. But what I'm trying to say is, it seems that Democrats are trying to pick their battles and not trying to always shift blame, like how Republicans still try to do that. So, and it's been less of that, fortunately, because Democrats aren't using the same tactic. They have a different tactic. So I think that's what the strategy is. But unfortunately, it's not really helping for immigration at all. Uh, Anu, when is BBB voting? Not quite sure yet. Hopefully soon. Hopefully, we can find out from Senate parliamentarian first, which we have to find out before voting. Garfield, yes. I would say about average 4 to 6 months after biometrics. Okay. And if it's past that time, check the uscs.gov website for the processing times, which should be under the tools header up top somewhere. Okay. Hopefully that helps, friends. Okay, so that's going to cover it for today. I didn't want to blabber too much, so I will, or vent. So I will share the secret code. And here it is, my friends. It's over on your top left, bottom right, bottom left of your screen. Green card, guys. You could have guessed it. So you can use that to unlock the free 15 minutes consultation here to solve your immigration problem or just point you in the right direction. Okay. Greatly appreciate it. And until next time, friends, please stay safe and continue wearing your mask. Talk to you soon.